presenter of the Gonzalo Principles, also the author of the Gonzalo Principles for IELTS, a certified material for non-native speakers of the English language. If you're joining this channel for the first time, I would say it's a great opportunity to learn more about the English language tests known as the IELTS and other language tests like TOEFL, GRE, GMAT, SAT, and PTE. I would want you to also take a step further by subscribing on this channel and make sure you hit on the notification bell so you get notified when a new video pops up. Let's get down to business. I welcome you one more time to the Gonzalo Principles today. I'm actually making this video as a request from a student of mine that actually complained about the listening section. And I guess it's a good thing I make a video so everyone around you can also learn from this. I'll be talking about the listening section, what steps you need to take, tips and strategies to help you ace the listening section. I'll be right back. Yeah, I welcome you to the Gonzalo Principles. Today I'll be giving you tips and strategies of the listening section. We already know that the listening section has 4 parts. The conversation, which is the first part, the narrative or straight monologue, which is the second part. Then you have a group chat where you have about minimum 2 people, maximum 3 people talking, which makes up the third part. And finally, you have the fourth part, which is a straight lecture. So why do students have challenges with the listening section? When the audio played are probably not what you get to hear every now and then. So the accent thing, intonation, stress placement might be a little bit of a challenge for you. And this also affects the way the accents also are placed during the audios. But there are basic strategies to help you ace the listening section. I'll begin first with the conversation. This is a section that covers question 1 to 10. So if you're taking the listening section, you know the first 10 questions you'll take will cover a conversation between probably a man and a woman. And the best way to do this is note that we have 2 people involved. So obviously I call the first person that comes with a challenge the inquirer. The inquirer is a person that has an issue, probably wants to get accommodation, or probably wants to get a registration done, or probably wants to go into a tour or traveling. Now this person will help you get close to your answers. So the inquirer gives you what your answer choices will look like. The other person that I would be talking about is known as the host. The host is the person that gives you most of the solutions you're going to listen to. So the solutions or options you have in the question options that will be coming from their host. 2 people involved here, which I've earlier mentioned as the inquirer and the host, will have a conversation, and the central idea will be based on what has been discussed between these 2 people. So you need to also understand that whenever you're listening, the examiners want you to also pay attention to the questions and answer them as fast as you can. The audio will not be replayed like you know, and neither will it be paused or rewind. So you need to pay attention to the details. In between the question set, you'll be having breaks of about 15 to 30 seconds. This gives you the opportunity to look at the question and circle your keywords. Keywords are words that helps you to connect the audio. For instance, now you can say Mary Payne should wear dash skirts. The dash here is the blank you have to fill out. There you know that the keyword that comes before the blank is wear, and the last word that comes after the blank is skirts. So those 2 words will form your keywords as pre and post keywords. So when you listen to the audio, you already get a picture of what you're looking out for. Remember, the inquirer, which is the person with the problem in the conversation, helps you to get close to your answers. So the options given to you, what you pick from, will be coming from the inquirer. But the host is the person that gives you more of the idea you get from the solutions, which are the options there. Remember, the inquirer gets you close to your answers. And if you must do well in the listening section, make sure you watch out for transitional markers. This will help you to take a turn of events or probably how an idea moves from one point to another point. For instance, a speaker might help you get close to your answers by using appropriate linkers. I will encourage you to watch my videos on compound and complex sentences so you can learn more about transitional markers and linkers. Moving on, the next section, which we'll be taking after having the conversation, will be the monologue or straight narrative. If you are taking this section, it means you're about to answer question 11 to 20. Now, note something carefully here. This question seems to be one of the most easiest apart from the conversation. But you need to understand the question types that you're expected to see or get to answer in it. The first question type you might likely come across in a narrative might be a diagram, a flowchart, a table completion. Now, these questions could be technical in a way, but they come out very easy. Let's take, for instance, a diagram question where you have to fill out the directions. Then you know that the direction could fall within four basic cardinal points: the north, the south, the east, the east and the west. Now, this will give you a picture to how the directions of the speaker actually pans out. One of the biggest strategies to help you do well in the listening section is using transitional markers, like moving on, next, right over there, adjacent, opposite, along, across, taking a turn, to the left, to the right. All these will give you a clue to how the speaker is moving. Remember, you are not there with the speaker, but you can actually move with the speaker and the speaker gives directions towards the question. Remember, each question you take on the diagram question is labeled and not all answers will be given to you. So you need to pay attention to what key areas you need to connect while you're listening to the diagram questions and what areas you need not waste your time on. In addition to all this, also note that if you skip a question while you were listening and you couldn't get it, don't allow it bother you. Since you know that the question will not be, the audio will not be repeated, then you have to move on. You miss a question doesn't mean that is the end of the entire test. Remember, you have easier questions ahead of you, so don't really bother yourself on losing just one question. Moving on, the next section you'll be taking there will be the group chart. Once you get into this section, you know you're about to take question 21 to 30. This question requires you to have an idea of an academic topic. Unlike the conversation and the narrative where you have social topics or general topics, the group chat requires you to listen to a very formal academic topic. Now, while you're listening, the biggest strategy I teach my students on their group chart is to identify the moderator. The moderator will definitely be the first speaker, or the person that starts off or initiates the conversation. Remember, 3 or 4 people might be talking over a particular topic. In the same process, you are answering the question. So you need to really understand who actually and when is the idea really coming in. Should you get a situation whereby you have 2 or 3 answers coming up towards a particular blank space, the moderator helps to clarify counter arguments. For instance, you could hear the second speaker say, high-speed trains are actually being recorded to go as fast as 200 kilometers per hour. Then another speaker comes up to counter that particular position by saying, oh no, I guess a recent study by the University of Harvard indicates that it goes 50 kilometers faster than what you just stated. Now clearly, the first speaker mentions 200 kilometers, the second speaker mentioned 250 kilometers. Now there's a bit of confusion here. This is where the moderator comes in to clear the counter argument. So the moderator might kindly say something like, oh, pretty well. I guess the newest study actually have corroborated that. So the latter speaker seems to be right about the figure of the speed, which implies that the former speaker who gave a 200 kilometer count on the speed actually is wrong. Now, with getting used to the group chart, you also need to pay attention to the terms of how the question spans out. If you get a timeline question under the group chart, simply implies that you follow the timeline the way the question comes. All questions on the IELTS comes sequentially, so you need not bother about what should come next because you've already gotten that in the check, okay? Moving on, the next section you'll be looking at after the group chart will be the lecture. Once you're taking the lecture, it means you're coming to the end of the listening section, so you have to put everything you've got into it. The lecture will take question 31 to 40. So this implies that there will be no break in the lecture, unlike the conversation, the narration, and the group chart. The lecture will begin on one spot and flows down till the end. So while you are listening to the lecture, pay attention to transitional markers, just like you have for a straight monologue. Transitional markers helps you to take turns of events. For instance, you can listen to a lecture that talks about the tectonic of plates. The tectonic of plates could give you a variety of descriptions and blah blah blah. The moment you get to hear things like although, however, nonetheless, you get to know that the next thing is about to be mentioned would definitely contradict what has been stated earlier on. I actually encourage you to learn and study more about the linkers because they will really help you into the nitty-gritty of the listening section. In addition to this, try as much as possible not to write down everything you hear. Stick to the keywords only. For instance, you know the answer to a particular blank question is transportation. You can quickly just abbreviate transportation. Within you, you know when transferring your answers, you write them out in full. Don't doubt what you hear. That's the next thing I'll say. You hear something, put it down. Don't doubt it.